So thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. We're going to go over confidence, conversions, and the science of sales. We're very excited to have Mac with us today to really talk about sales and closing it and how confidence plays a key role in all of that. My name is Tracy Hansen. I am the program manager of the Washington Center for Women in Business. A few housekeeping things. This webinar is being recorded. I'll send it out as well as post it to the website when you, if you want to access it later. Please mute yourself unless you're asking a question so that we don't have any of those dogs barking, babies crying type thing in the background. But we will have time for question and answer, so you can obviously unmute yourself if you have a question for Mac. Audio, a quick tip, if it's cutting out for you for some reason and you're using your computer speakers, we found that using your phone works best and you'll have the best quality audio. And if you have questions, you're welcome. We'll have time at the end, but you're welcome to send them in during the presentation as well. You have two options. You can either raise your hand, which is this blue icon here, and we can have you unmute yourself, or you can just type into the chat box, and then we can see and read it that way. So whichever is easiest for you, we're happy to accommodate. A little bit about the Washington Center for Women in Business really quickly. We are an SBA Women's Business Center, so we get part of our funding from the SBA in order to provide women either help with starting a business, or if they're already in business, how can we help you be more successful, and really anything regarding that business. So licensing, business plans, marketing plans, how to market yourself, how to do sales. We can be your motivation or accountability person, your sounding board, and we do this in a variety of ways. So workshops, either in person or online like this, and then where we really have the greatest impact is kind of one-on-one. So if there's anything that sounds interesting to you, or you're like, I need help in X, Y, or Z, you can actually create a one-on-one coaching session with us, and we will get you to where your goal is. We serve most of the state of Washington. To meet with us is free for the first time. After that, it is $25 for an hour session, but we do know that sometimes starting your business is very expensive. And so if you don't have the money for whatever reason, we do have scholarships and fee waivers available. So just let me know, and I'm happy to chat with you about that. We would rather have you in and able to be successful than think that the $25 is too much of a hurdle. And there's our contact information for that. So with that, I will put it over to you, Mac.
All right. Thank you, Tracy, so much. And good afternoon, everybody. I really appreciate you allowing me to be here today. Hopefully I can deliver a little bit of value to you, something that you can take away and help you with your business. I got a couple key points that I just want to cover today, and then I'd love to open it up to Q&A on anything that I speak about or any questions you might have. I'll be glad to answer them. Just ask me, and we'll get them answered. I want to start off, if I could, just by talking a little bit about confidence. And so I think confidence is a muscle that's built over time. So if you talk about salespeople in general, a lot of times when we bring in a new salesperson, one of the things that they have to really struggle with is, for instance, if they're making telephone calls outbound, it's that getting really consistent because they get a little nervous or they're a little scared. And what I always try to explain is you have to get consistent before you can get great, right? But confidence goes beyond just your self-awareness, okay? Part of confidence in business is the confidence to step out on the edge a little bit and do things that maybe just 5 years ago we weren't doing. When you look at sales, the whole game of sales has fundamentally changed. It is, and we talk a lot about the science of sales because we believe that every part of sales is related to the science of how the brain interprets and how we evoke emotion, because we all know that we buy on emotion, right? Everybody buys something emotionally and then they defend that purchase logically. So what we try to make people understand is that it's no longer just a matter of placing a phone call or sending out an advertisement and hopefully it's pretty and someone likes it and they call in. Today, if you notice, everything is shifting. It's all shifting, and it's all shifting to the digital world. And people, you may or may not be aware of this, but for the most part, 80% of the buying decision is made before a person ever, say, contacts a business owner or walks through the doors of a business or into a store or even purchases something online. 80% of their buying path has already been handled. They know more than they ever did before. In 2000, if you wanted to buy a car, you would walk onto a car lot and spend the day with a car salesman and everyone that is involved there. Today, you know more about the car, the pricing, what everyone's paid, and what the rock bottom price of that car is going to be before you ever walk on the lot. It's funny, in most cases, the consumer today will know more than the salesman will, just because they've done their homework. And that's the thing. So the reason I bring that up is because today, marketing and sales used to be two completely separate divisions, and you no longer can look at it that way anymore. It is now the same thing. It is now completely combined, because your marketing and your sales must come together congruently. Today, you have to put more value out than ever before. You have to be able to, on a daily basis, put out some kind of content, whether that be through social media or on YouTube. Hopefully you're doing video that shows people that you are the industry expert in what you do, that your confidence, that they can put their confidence in you. And that's a lot of times when we talk about confidence is, can the consumer put their confidence in you as someone who is A, an industry expert, and B, going to always be there and be accessible? So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense there, because today the noise is so thick. You have to ask, how are you going to break outside the noise? Most of us, aren't in a position to where we have a one and only product. There's usually some kind of competition, and in most cases, there's a lot of competition. So how do you break through that noise? Well, the number one thing is to understand, first and foremost, that the game has fundamentally changed, and that you have to work, what I say is a lot smarter, but it is a lot harder, because these days you can't, or at least we don't feel that you can just go out and try to sell a bunch of people something or get people to come to your store without providing that value up front, which is usually in the form of content and great imaging and great video and pushing that out online. To give you, I'm going to do two different examples here, one for B2B and one for B2C. So if you're in business to business, your best friend in the world is going to be LinkedIn, okay? If you're not on LinkedIn and you're not actively on it, I highly recommend that you get going on that, because you've got 450 million users on LinkedIn. About half of those are active, which means you've got at least 200 million active users on LinkedIn, and about 80% of those are business owners. Not all of those are going to be your ideal prospect, of course, but it does allow you to have a wide pool of your target market and your target audience, that you can have your name, your business name, and your brand's message in front of every day. And if you play it smart and combine video along with long-form post and text and content, you can stay in front of them 2 to 3 times a day. The average business is spending about 17 minutes a day on LinkedIn, meaning that you have 17 minutes a day for each person on there that they're going to be there, that you can make sure that you stay in front of them. At the same time, as you're building those relationships and that long-term, engagement with them, it has perfect search features. So if your target audience, let's just say, for example, let's say you sell to, if you're a B2B, let's say you sell to restaurants a product or service, you can go on there and search just for restaurant owners who are in a very specific area and bring up a list of those people and start connecting with them. Just remember that it's a soft opening. It's not, I want to connect with you and sell you something today, because that's just not going to get you anywhere. Connecting with people, complimenting folks, engaging with their content, sharing your content, and why that seems like a lot of work, and it can be if you let it be a lot of work, it only takes about 3 to 4 months of really active engaging, and you'll be so surprised at the return that you get. And then sales becomes a lot easier because they already feel like they have a relationship with you. They already feel like they have a little bit of trust with you because you're in front of them every day. You engage with them on a regular basis. If they ask a question, you're one of the first ones to get in there and answer it. So that brings a lot of value. So you're so much further along in the sales process at that point than someone who just walked off the street or just picked up the phone and did a cold call. I'm not knocking any of that because that's all good stuff and it's all valuable when it comes to picking up the phone and making a phone call. But it's so much easier for us, let me just use my own business for a minute. It's so much easier for us to pick up the phone and call someone and that we've been dealing with on LinkedIn, and they've seen my name, and I can say, hey, it's so-and-so, this is Mac over here at GSS. And, oh, hey, yeah, Mac, I know who you are. That's a huge thing just right there. Just knowing that people, when you make that phone call, people are already going to know who you are. Now, on the flip side of that, if you're in B2C, okay, your new best friend is going to be Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, okay? Those three are your B2C kings, all right? I don't know if you're aware of it, but if you own any kind of retail shop and anywhere on the, in a strip mall or at all, you know that the targeting that you can do on Facebook for paid media is so specific. I mean, you can target people who only eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on Tuesdays, and people laugh at that, but it's the truth. The amount of information that Facebook has about all of us is really actually quite scary to think about it, but it's great for a marketer because we can target anybody pretty much anywhere on any demographic. And for a business owner who can do that for pennies on the dollar compared to traditional advertising, that is a huge, huge step for your business. And you can have a much smaller budget and get a much bigger bang for return on your money, okay? All that being said is today with sales, I think we have to start thinking more about how we create a community around our brand and our brand's message and our brand's story so that people will engage with us in that field as opposed to I'm just trying to sell you something. Understand that the science of sales today is no longer meet them today, close them tomorrow, get a check, and be done with it. The new science today clearly shows that people are only going to do business with brands in which they create an emotional attachment to and that they feel like they can trust, all right? That is so important, and there's only two ways of doing that, paid media or earned media, and earned media is always going to be best. Couple that with a little bit of paid media will get you to the top, right? It's just the same thing. People ask me all the time about, what about SEO, Max? Should we be focused on SEO and Google AdWords and all that? Well, the reality is you no longer have, it's not a secret anymore. The algorithms to try to fight SEO isn't a secret anymore. And if you're a small business, you just don't have the capital to play against companies that can put hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars behind SEO campaigns. But what you can do is you can drop quality, very consistent, keyword engaged content every day and beat them. And you can do it every time because you can take a much more personal approach and interact and engage with people at a much more just personal and one-on-one level than any major corporation can do because they're not going to spend the money. And you can do it at a very, your real only cost is a little bit of your time. And I know that's valuable. Though I'm not saying it's not. I know it is. But that time that you put in there will repay itself in just dividends. You have to trust me on it. So trying to get your message to shine today is the trick. And you do that through a lot of content. The biggest thing I can tell you and give you advice of is to focus on as much video as you can. Cisco just came out last month with a new report saying that by 2019, 90% of all internet traffic will be video. So you have to start thinking about that. People don't want to read the feeds anymore. They want to watch video. And they want to watch engaging video, okay? And you can do these things from your iPhone. You can do them. You don't have to go spend a bunch of money to make this happen. It's the great thing about YouTube and Facebook and Instagram is for very, very little money, you can have your brand in front of a lot of people. So when you do get that phone call and they do walk through the door, they're halfway or even 80% of the way through it, and you're already that much closer to having a new customer. Some of the things that you want to be aware of is if you are going to start using paid media to try to drive sales, you want to be really focused on if you're going to use image, make sure it's good, clean, crystal clear imagery. Believe it or not, the top 3 images are animals, theme pictures of females and older generations, but you want to make sure, that doesn't mean that I want you to you'll see it all the time, it's kind of like clickbait. So I want to put a cat up there because I know everyone loves cats and cat videos, and then you click on it and it goes to something else. That is something I'll tell you turns a lot of people off. Congruency between your ad and where you want them to go has got to be consistent. And that is a huge mistake that a lot of people are making, and you'll see it in the traffic. So you'll have all this traffic come through and no conversions. And that's because the congruency between the ads and the landing page, so to speak, isn't right. So all that said is to say we can't look at sales like we did 10 years ago. We have to look at it different. We have to understand that digital is the most important part of the process these days. It will reduce your overall cost of acquisition of your customer significantly, and it's going to allow you to really get people to buy into your brand loyalty. Now, I'd love to ask if there's questions. If there's anyone that has specific questions, let's get into it. I love Q&A more than anything.
All right. Feel free to type in your questions. We don't have any yet, or I muted some of you with loud stuff. I'll unmute in case you'd like to ask a question.
Give me some ideas of what businesses are actually on here, and maybe I can give some advice that's specific to your industry.
I have a question.
Okay, absolutely.
What are some examples of videos that we could watch, some good examples to get ideas? Do you have any great... I mean, I'll just take my phone out and make a video. It sounds really vague. I'm not sure where I would start.
What industry are you in?
I do curriculum, education curriculum.
Okay, so what I would do, very first thing I would do is I would hop on Instagram and I would go to the search bar up there at the top. Are you on Instagram at all?
A little bit. Not for my business, for my nieces and nephews.
Sure, but even for your personal, so you know how to work it. You go up to the top to the search bar on Instagram and you search the top 5 education and curriculum companies out there. If you're in the business, you know who those people are. And I can guarantee you at least one of those 5 are doing a lot of video. Probably all of them are. And then you're going to see what other people in your exact industry are going to be doing. And the great thing about Instagram is you have to keep it short, right? Because you typically only have 60 seconds for an Instagram video. And what you're going to see on there is most of them are going to they're going to have a longer video that might be, say, 3 or 4 minutes. They're going to take a 60-second either smash up or a 60-second piece of that video, put that on Instagram, and then in a long-form post underneath that video, they're going to explain it and give you a link to go watch the full video. And that's a really good example for you because if you're in education, a lot of your target audience is going to be younger. And 18 to 34 years old, almost, we're at like 48%, but almost 50% of that age group is on Instagram every single day.
Okay. Great.
And we had somebody type in, they do handmade metal art, anything from bottle openers to fire pits and gates. And Catherine wants to know how they can optimize traffic to their Etsy page from Facebook.
Oh, I mean, that's awesome, because what you're doing, I would go total video and take video of you actually doing some work. I mean, because I love metal artwork, and I know that is an art form for sure. And so taking little pieces of video content of you actually making that video and putting that out, you know, you could do $1 a day, and you would be so surprised if you just put $1 a day behind an ad on Facebook with your target market. So you could target, I mean, usually metalwork, I have metalwork in my home, and I know it's a little more pricey, it's a little expensive. And when I say expensive, you know, that's relative, I know, but you could go onto Facebook and just target people who are actually interested in that metalwork, who make over $60,000 or $70,000 a year, so you know they can afford it, and you can only spend $1 a day and put a cool video that you can do from your iPhone or your Android phone. You don't have to get fancy. It's even better if you're not fancy, you know, and put that out with a little bit of ad copy and push that to Facebook for $1 a day. And over the 30-day period, you could probably generate 2,000 to 3,000 views on paid media, which was also going to translate probably to another couple thousand views on shares. And most likely that's going to drive, even if it drives just a few percent, you could be talking a couple hundred or maybe 80 to 100 new visitors to your website for, what, $30?
Sounds great. Robin, it looks like you have a question. Can you unmute yourself? Catherine said thank you for that, Mac.
Absolutely, Catherine. And please, if you want to share my email with everybody when you send it out, you are more than welcome to send any question that you might come up with later. I'm glad to answer them. Shoot me an email. I always respond pretty quickly, and we'll help. We'll definitely give answers.
Great.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I hear you.
All right. So I have a community project. So I'm an artist and health coach, and I have a community project that I'm working on. I'm calling Transforming the World Through Art and Chocolate, 24 Hours of Art Around the World.
Okay.
And I'm interested in, like, what are the most effective ways I can get out and reach people, knowing that I have not been that good on social media. And so I feel like it's one of those things I'll do for a couple of weeks and then I fall off. And with this particular thing, which is happening, I have it scheduled for the 23rd and 24th of June from 3 p.m. to 3 p.m. And so I know I have to get better at the social media but like, to be consistent, what would be like the minimum but consistent thing I should be doing?
Okay, so this is good. That's a good one. So you have a big community online, all right? When it comes to art and community involvement kind of programs, there is a huge, huge base of people that are on Facebook that you can target. So, and you can do it, and a lot of times community stuff and programs don't have a lot of budget. So instead of maybe spending ad money, here's a couple things you could do. Number one is, I got to tell you, you have to get consistent, posting at least once a day. But here's something that you can do. Have you ever heard of a program called Hootsuite?
Yes.
Okay, so you could get something like Hootsuite, and Facebook has its own publisher. You could take a weekend day, like a Saturday, and sit down and write all your content for 2 or 3 weeks and schedule it all out. So you could just set it and forget it, because I know life is busy, especially when you're doing community stuff. You don't always have time every day. That's one of the first things you could do. But secondly is the first thing I would do is I would sit down and I would Google the top 20 hashtags based around art and community and those types of things that you know people are interested in that relate to what you're doing. And then I would make sure, you have to make sure that you put those hashtags in every one of your posts. And we like to build them in, right? So like sales and entrepreneurship and business, when we're writing a long post, if we're going to say sales, well, we don't, instead of just putting the hashtag randomly at the end, we'll put it like you know, today we need the hashtag science of sales to get moving, right? And so if you integrate those hashtags trigger, right? So if I'm in, you know, even say Denver, Colorado, and I like, you know, community art programs, and I want to search for that stuff, I'm going to put hashtag community art programs and pop Hugo coming up because you've been consistent every day posting and using those hashtags, and that's a completely free way of driving earned media. And so you have to get consistent. You can use these schedulers. There's a lot of free ones out there. Buffer is another one, and it's got a free one for I think up to 3 accounts. And you don't have to put Facebook in there because Facebook has its own scheduler, right? So you can put your Twitter and like your LinkedIn or a couple others, and then have your Facebook separate, and sit down and schedule that stuff out so you don't have to worry about falling off. Because people do see that, and it is an issue. You know, you post for 2 weeks and then you don't post for 2 weeks. I mean, I don't know why that bothers people so much, but it really does. And I think it's a commitment issue. They look at it as a commitment on your part. They made the commitment to read your content, but you can't make the commitment to post it, and that's just the truth, right? And so that's the first thing I would do is sit down and write your content. It doesn't have to get fancy, right? It doesn't have to be long. And I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be too crazy. Don't post just single sentences, and use a lot of those hashtags. Like I said, go Google the top 20 hashtags, find out what those are, maybe get on your phone once you get them and search them. Make sure that you like what you see and the community that is involved there. And then once you identify those right hashtags, build out all of your content and ensure that those hashtags are built into every one of your posts. That's going to draw attention to your message and your brand.
So,
Does that help?
So, and hashtags, do they go like in any social media, or just like I had knew about hashtags for Twitter, but is that something that is consistent across all social media?
Absolutely, and Instagram is built almost entirely off of hashtags. And again, right, that younger generation, when it comes to community and art and stuff, that younger generation is a huge part of that. So you definitely want to be on Instagram. I recommend everyone being on Instagram. It's already like the 3rd or 4th most active. And when you talk about attention, it is the attention specialist. And Facebook is great because that's your paid media, right? So Instagram is your earned media just king, and Facebook is your paid media king, and you have to use them. It's kind of funny because Facebook owns Instagram, but that's how it's set up.
Okay. Great. Thank you. That was great.
Thank you, Robin. So somebody says, do you have any resources for learning verbiage that has the most impact? I've noticed that some text posts have a bigger impact than others, and I'm struggling to pinpoint the best tone or verbiage to use.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you one of the best resources you can have right now. It's called HubSpot. If you and I'm going to give you another one. It's called AdEspresso. Okay? If you go to AdEspresso, you can actually download for free. You got to give them the email, of course, and then, of course, what they're going to do, they're going to email you because they all have products to sell, but it doesn't mean you have to buy them. You can download. They have something like 700 of the best performing ads that have ever been ran. And what you can do is you can search that by industry type and other things, and then what you'll be able to do from there is see what content, what copy they used in those ads. And, I mean, these are the best performing ads. These are ads that turned, you know, some companies millions of dollars in return. That's where you find it. You go and find other ads that worked very well, and then you don't copy it word for word, but you get the idea of what works and what doesn't work. The other thing I would say on that to follow that up, so remember that's HubSpot and AdEspresso. I would probably go to AdEspresso first because they have the most resources, but HubSpot's also great. The other thing I would say is simple, simple, simple. Don't try to get fancy. Remember, it's about telling a story as quickly as possible, but as impactful as possible. So just be real, just be yourself, just let your brand shine through with its own truth, and that will help big time. But go to AdEspresso, great resource for all kinds of copy. You can find anything on there from almost any industry, things you wouldn't even imagine, and really get just spawn really great ideas. And they also have a ton of free training.
And so you mentioned that you should post at least once a day, but somebody wants to know how many posts per day or week seem to be the most effective.
We like to try to post twice a day. So typically a video and a long-form post content. What we do is this, and this will give you a little idea. We take core content, what we call the core content of the month. Like for instance, Gia says we have this thing called Stat Chat that starts next Monday. It's going to be a daily video where we take a stat, you know, a 2017 statistical piece of factual information from one of the major Facebooks, Twitters, Instagram, and then we're going to take 2 to 3 minute video and explain how that stat and using that information and how that you can apply that to your business, right? Then you can build off of that little short posts, right? Content based, so you can have keywords, because right now keywords and content is still king. Video hasn't totally taken over. So you have both. You have your video post of the day and you have your content post of the day. And it's really nice because you don't have to come up with something separate for your content. You just build on that core copy of that, or that core content of that video. So that makes it a little easier. You don't have to come up with 2 different things every day. And again, it doesn't have to be super long. You could do a 60-second video some days, and some days it may be 3 minutes. It doesn't, the timing doesn't matter. It matters that you post. And I would say, like I said, I like twice a day, 1 video, and then 1 copy.
And this is, I think, a really good question. Sally wants to know, how do you have something to say every day? If your business is always the same, how can you repeat messages, or?
You absolutely can, but I think there's also ways that to tell a story, you can tell the same story 5 different ways. And so there's all kinds of things you can do. Sometimes just a little, believe it or not, just a little video just saying hi for the day even works. And I know that says, oh, Mac, that sounds corny, but you wouldn't believe the response we get sometimes. I'll just pop on Instagram. I'll be sitting waiting to go into a meeting, and I'll just pop on Instagram and say, hey, what's going on, guys? It's Big Mac. Just want to say, hey, hope y'all are having a great day. And that'll be that. And I'll get 24, 25% engagement on that, because it's just being real. Sometimes, and believe it or not, I'm a little crazy, so I'll have a little fun with it. I'll get on a Facebook Messenger or something, and I'll just send a random business owner a hello with one of the filters, like the little hat on or with the fire coming out of my mouth. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I get a lot of response from that, and I've got a ton of business by doing that, believe it or not, because I'm different. I stand out. People get 1,000. They're inundated, right, every day with marketing. How do you stand out? And I stand out by, taking it a little edgy and being a little crazy. And so I don't mind putting myself out there, right? I love getting on video, and I love just kind of being a center of attention.
Great. And you had asked what industries we're on earlier, and I got some comments. So we have a foot nurse, and we also have a baker, somebody's daughter starting baking for a farmer's market and also high-end restaurants.
Okay, so let me cover those 3 real quick. On the bakery, you're in what I like to call the golden little circle, because people love baked goods. I am on a diet, and I'm trying to be on a diet, but if you put a great looking cupcake in front of me or a great piece of cake, it's going down. And so you're great because you get to focus all of your content on this beautiful creation of these beautiful baked goods. And so you take a photo or a small video. What's really cool is a startup, you can show some of the process of you making in a video, of you making these, say this cake, and then you show the finished product of this beautiful cake that looks so delicious that you're trying to climb through the phone to eat it, and then you push that out. You can do it geographically because you're a bakery, and for the restaurant, listen to this because it's the same thing for you. Same exact principle. You're taking video of your process, making this beautiful food, and then the final product, and you take let's say a 5-mile radius around your shop, around your restaurant, around your bakery, and you put even $15 or $20 behind an ad to push that out to people that are just in that little geographical zone, and you'll be amazed the amount of people you could pull in. For the foot nurse, I would take your stuff and start targeting people that you know that, for instance, I work with a podiatrist out east, and what we did for him was we took an ad and built it around contractors, okay, because they're on their feet all day, they're hurt, they got problems with their feet, and we targeted contractors with an ad that was based around contractors, and it was a phenomenal success. So you figure out exactly who is going to benefit the most from your business, and then you get very hyper targeted to that, and you don't target anybody else. You let that run. Be patient. There's a little patience there, and that's a great way to do it. So hopefully that helps with those 3 industries.
Great, thanks. Some people have typed in, thanks, great information. I don't have any new questions for you.
Well, I'll kind of wrap it up then with a few more pieces of quick advice. One is, please know that people get so nervous about putting out the right content, and I'm air quoting there, or this great content, that there's this magic content that doesn't exist, okay? I would rather you post just something. I don't mean just post, don't take a picture of the sidewalk, but post a little something every day, even if it isn't, in your eyes, the greatest piece of content. Because what matters most is that you're in front of and getting out there in the community. Use your hashtags like crazy, because that draws free and organic attention. Make sure that you're pushing more towards video than you are copy. If you're not great at video, you don't want to be on camera yourself, take video of your product. You know, take video, I mean, especially like those, again, who are in the food service, or if you're like in the metal arts, or if you're in art of any kind. If you have a product that's good to look at, just shoot the product. You don't have to be on video if you're camera shy. But get some video out, get copy that goes well with the video, fill it with hashtags, and make sure that you're posting every single day. Here's something else that I want to say that gets avoided a lot. If you get engagement of any kind, what we try to do is we try to respond to every single comment. Because here's what people will do. If someone comments and says, let's take the bakery, and she puts out a picture of some cupcakes, and she gets a bunch of people saying, oh, that's beautiful, they look so good, and they're so yummy, and then you don't respond to any of those, they really take that offensively, because they took time to comment for you, but you couldn't just say thanks. And secondly is reviews. Online reviews are really critical. And so try to push all your customers to give you reviews. Always thank them for good reviews. Never avoid a bad review. Okay, we're working with a major nationwide 1,300 location retailer right now trying to rebuild a brand of trust, because they went for 4 years and never responded to a single negative review, and they have thousands of them. It's the worst thing you can do. The best thing you can do, and you see it time and time again, for people who respond to a negative review and try to make it right, those people 9 times out of 10 will come back and give you a stellar review. Like, oh, I couldn't believe it, so-and-so, we had a terrible experience and we posted, and these guys actually called us and brought us in and made it all good. People will love that, because look, we're all human, we all know we make mistakes. What we hate as people is the cover-up, or the what doesn't matter. What we want is to see you step up to the plate, own that mistake, and fix it. So those are the last pieces of advice that I really want to impart on you, because they're overlooked, because everyone's always thinking about how do I get new customers, when there are people that are sitting there who's engaged with you or giving you an opening and you didn't take it.
That's great. We had one more question come in. Catherine frequently partners with nonprofits or other fundraisers. and she wants to know how to collaborate better with nonprofit partners and other partners on social media.
So one of the best things is on Facebook, on Facebook and Instagram, you can do direct messaging, right? So on Facebook, you have Facebook Messenger, and on Instagram, you have the DM. Up in the top right-hand corner, there are those 3 little buttons. If you push that, you'll see where it says send message. So pretty much every nonprofit and our church, our school is on social media in one place or another. And so Facebook or Instagram is the best place because you can find them and send them a message right from your cell phone. I mean, you could be sitting at night watching your favorite TV show, hitting up all those nonprofits and start getting in community engagement with them. And you can even bring in other people to that conversation. Before you know it, you might have 5 or 6 nonprofits all engaged and entangled in this conversation.
In the break room? Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Hopefully, Kathleen, that answered that question.
And Sally wants to know, how do we reach older people who are not on social media?
Well, when you say older people that are not on social media, what age are you talking about? Because on Facebook, the demographics now are going up into the 50s. And so I think a lot of that is there. Now, if you're talking about just, people who just aren't going to be on social media ever, then you're going to have to fall back on traditional marketing, whether that's direct mailers or whether that is in the paper, print ads. But, that stuff is not near as productive, and it's very overpriced for what it produces. So you're going to be stuck in that.
A report from someone that there's
I think somebody's not muted here.
break
Great. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit, Sally.
right off the elevator. That's what happened.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Matt. This is great. I've got a lot of, I'll share these comments with you, of gratitude on all of our attendees' behalf on all these great tips.
Oh, I'm really grateful for that. Thank you, guys. I just hope that I could give some value today. If you have any more questions, like I said, you can email me, mac@gss.digital. On Instagram or Twitter, you can hit us up. It's just GSS Digital. I'll be happy to answer any of those questions. No expectations out of it. Just if you have something, just say, hey, I've heard you on the program, and I have this question, and we'll definitely get that answered.
Thank you for that. Yes, I'll send out Mac's email, and he mentioned a couple, Hootsuite, HubSpot, Adespresso. I'll send those links out to everybody so that you can explore those in all of your leisure time. I know you have. Thank you, everybody. Thanks again for Mac, and I hope you all have a great Wednesday afternoon.
Thank you, everybody, so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.